Mr. President, I've come here to talk about what I think we've reached here as a tipping point in terms of President Obama's legacy. Recently, even Jimmy Carter emphatically charged that President Obama has weakened us and brought us less respect everywhere in the world. When President Carter makes a statement like that, I don't think that our President Obama should be spiking the football in the Rose Garden. Now, why do you think President Carter made those statements? Maybe he's looked at the legacy over the last 6 years, as many of the American people have. Ukraine is on fire. China is threatening its neighbors. Al-Qaeda is stronger than ever. ISIS is massacring Christians and Muslims with the genocidal savagery, the likes of which we haven't seen since the Second World War. The Jewish people are facing the greatest threat since the Holocaust. The president got this deal with the Ayatollahs no matter how dangerous and no matter how destabilizing the final accord is. He's claimed a victory, and the media vanguard's just right behind him. And he's going to late-night comedy cable shows to build his case. But ladies and gentlemen, this is no laughing matter. Now, you're going to hear a lot of speeches over the next few weeks in the 60 days that we have to review this deal. There's going to be a lot of technical terms, a lot of things that, quite honestly, probably some members of Congress don't fully understand. But I hope over the next 60 days, we can communicate in a way to the American people so that they understand why this is a very dangerous deal. Here's some questions I hope you'll look into and form your own opinion. One question, is there truly a dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program? I've looked at the summary of the agreement. I haven't read the full text yet. I'll be doing that this week. But it's very clear this isn't a matter of whether Iran can have a nuclear weapon or not. It's a matter of when they can have a nuclear weapon. That's not dismantlement, that's scheduling. Now, there's another one, and I think my colleague from Indiana just spoke about it. It has the inspections. We use terms like snapback and everything else, but let's put this in very simple terms. Imagine that the police in your community suspected a criminal enterprise in some house. Imagine instead of being able to get a warrant and then quickly go and knock on the door and identify that criminal activity, that the police would send a letter to the criminal saying, in the next 4 or 5 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to do a surprise inspection on your house. What's the likelihood that that criminal presence or that criminal activity is going to be there? That's the nature of the inspections regime with a nation that still continues to chant death to America. They're not a good player. They're not a good actor. Giving them time to prepare for a so-called snap inspection seems to make no sense to me, but that's what's in this deal, and it's written out in plain English. Another question is, why hasn't the president done something as basic as have the Iranian people, or the Iranian leadership, I should say, this is not about the people, it's about the leadership, show good faith by releasing American prisoners in Iran? Now about the ballistic missile program. Ask the president, ask the people who negotiated this agreement, will Iran have a ballistic missile program? The answer is yes. They've actually got back orders for missiles that could reach Europe. And over time, they'll develop a program that will reach the United States. This agreement has no treatment for that. Ask them if they'll dismantle the Iran terror network. The Iran terror network operates throughout the world. The Iran terror network is funded literally through the government of Iran. Over $300 million have been identified by Canadian intelligence agencies that are funneled to terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, Hamas, and a number of others. Are they going to dismantle it? No. As a matter of fact, I believe that with the sanctions being removed, it's going to provide them more money to fund those networks. Now, why would the president release $140 billion with a B? Dollars in sanctions. Why would we do that? Why would we provide money to a nation that says they need money, but they can spend money on terror and a number of other things, not education, not fixing roads, not better health care for Iranians, but spreading terror throughout the world? Why on earth would we give them more money to do that? The president has given birth to the Middle East nuclear arms race as well. ask yourself this question. Do you think it's likely that Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, and other Gulf states are going to stand idly by when a hostile regime is going to have a nuclear capability over some period of time? Of course not. They're going to do what they need to do to feel like they're protecting their citizens, and it will give rise to an arms race. And we'll be talking about this if this deal goes through, I think, in my tenure as senator over the next 5 years. So President Obama has willfully ignored 40 years of hostility from Tehran. The president may not recognize that we are at war, but the Iranians certainly do. And they say in public statements that they're going to continue their fight against America. They're chief sponsor of global terror. They've never stepped back from their desire to obliterate the United States and our great friend and ally, Israel. This is the Obama doctrine. The president sees America as the problem. He views Israel as an obstacle to peace and Iran as another oppressed constituency with legitimate grievances against the West. In fact, so much so, when millions of Iranians took to the streets to protest the mullahs, the leaders of Iran, the president was silent. The old American alliances are collapsing in confusion and fear. And the only answer from the administration seems to be a clear path towards Iran possessing a nuclear weapon. In his 1987 State of the Union address, President Ronald Reagan warned, "Our approach is not to seek agreement for agreement's sake, but to settle only for agreements that truly enhance our national security and that of our allies. We will never put our security at risk or that of our allies just to reach an agreement. No agreement is better than a bad agreement." So there you have it, Mr. President. Our allies, Israel, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states, Jordan, Egypt, are worried. Tehran is on the march and moving closer to a nuclear weapon. As Charles Krauthammer noted, the one great hope for Middle East peace, the strategic anchor for 40 years, the United States, is given a green light to terror. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. President, I don't think that's a legacy that anyone should be proud of. Thank you, Mr. President.